I'm live. Yeah. Right, all right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Rat is our Lord, willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. Doing this Pesach, all right, and going into the title, all right, doctors will prescribe the Motb 2026 year of the N.W.O technology / technology, right? So this is based off of a video on Instagram, all right, where China is now prescribing, okay, the Motb onto people. All right, see, and eventually that will happen here in America, okay? As brothers always go into, if you want to know what's the future of America, all you got to do is look at what always happens in China, okay? Because China has always desired, all right, to be like Babylon the Great, all right? As a matter of fact, let's just grab that real quick. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 43, I believe it is. 46, and it says, "And thou Asia, that are partaker of the hope of Babylon." You see, so they're in the same mentality. All right, there's always pretty much what do you call it? They're always going against each other to see who can bring out the technology quicker, or who has the best technology. All right, so they're always in a comparing each other. Okay. So it says, "Thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee." You see, "Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works," which is Babylon is hated in all the works. All right, the Lord hates everything that comes out of Babylon. All right, it says, "Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and in inventions. Therefore saith the Lord Yahweh, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death." All right, and see, that's why you see China's always getting smacked with certain types of plagues, okay, because that's the Lord bringing the plagues also upon them, all right, just as he promised, okay, because they have always desired to be just like America, okay. When you go to China, you see that they have a Times Square just like New York does. They have their own Times Square, all right, but it's more futuristic. Everything out there in China is always more advanced than America. That's why if you want to know what's the future of Babylon the Great, all you got to do is see what's going on basically in China, okay. Here it is that China already has a social credit score system, all right. I believe they get some type of UBI out there. I could be wrong on that, all right, but Salakia, if I am, don't quote me on it, all right. But there's definitely a social credit score system, right, and that's coming to Babylon the Great. You see, UBI is going to come to America, all right. That's how they're going to draw people into this N.W.O, okay. So when you look at those things, right, you see those systems that they got going on out there, all right, those are the same exact systems that are going to be brought here to America, okay. Now let's grab this. This is, all right, yeah. This is, This is Job 13:4, and it says, "But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value." All right. And the reason I bring that out, because like I said, they're now doing in China, all right, where doctors can prescribe you, all right, the Motb, which I'm gonna show you the video in a second. Okay. And America is gonna follow in those same footsteps. Okay. And we know that these doctors, all right, these physicians ain't nothing but a bunch of, sorcerers, warlocks, and witches, man. All right. And all they bring is pharmakia, basically, all right, to our people, which pharmakia goes into, goes into the word pharmaceutical, pharmacy, okay, and pharmakia basically means witchcraft. All right, so it's the mixing of potions, medicines, and their the means of their miracles going into their technologies. Okay, that's exactly what, all right, these doctors is all about. All right, so it says, "But ye are forgers of lies." All right, and everything that they do is based on lies. Okay, doctors will lie, all right, in their best interest to suck you into their system and keep you in the loop. All right, well, they'll tell you that this medication is going to help you and it's going to preserve you, is going to cure, all right, whatever's wrong with you. But here it is that they're lying to you because it's going to hurt something else in your body, and that's what keeps you coming back to them, all right, over and over and over again, right? Here it is, they prescribe you these medications that are, made to help you out, all right, but really they're just made to stabilize you in the loophole, all right, to keep the money flowing for the system. You see, without medications, all right, without the witchcraft and sorceries that they offer you, all right, there is no money involved for them. All right, this is why they don't want to tell you that, natural herbs, all right, your fruits and your vegetables can cure you. You see, they don't believe in none of that. See, they believe in total science. Okay, so whatever is, scientifically known to them, right, or it has a scientific answer, all right, that's what they're going to stand by. And that's because they don't believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, all healing comes from the Lord, as it tells you in Psalms, right? Let's grab that real quick. This is Psalms 103, and take it from 3. Hold on, getting there. Right? It says, I'll take it from 2. "Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases." You see? So the Lord is what heals all diseases, man. The Lord is the true physician. All right, as it tells you in, let me grab that real quick. This is Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. All right, 38. All right, 38, and let's take it from 1. All right, it says, "Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord Yahweh has created him." All right, so now you do have some sincere doctors, doctors that are, will put you on a alkaline diet, will tell you to use herbs because that's where healing really comes from. All right, but at the end of the day, the healing of those herbs come from what? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, doctors like Dr. Sabi, okay, those are good doctors. All right, eventually the Lord took them out and judged them, all right, because they get so caught up into their herbs and they don't give the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, but there were still good doctors. You see, those were real doctors. All right, the doctors of America, the doctors that you find in the ER, all right, those are not real doctors. Okay, again, those are warlocks and witches, and they're made to destroy. Okay, Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah unto you and your household. All right, Lord willing, your Passover is going well. And may Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. All right, so it says, verse 2, "For of the Most High cometh healing." You see, from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. "And the skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord Yahweh Shai has created medicines of the earth." See, the Lord Yahweh Shai has created these herbs of the earth, has created the medicines of the earth for us to be able to use them. So that's why healing comes first and foremost from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, because it's the Lord's creation. All right. The Lord created these herbs to help us and cure, specific, things that need to be cured. Right. And ultimately, all right, the herb itself, all right, is not what gives the healing. It's Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because he's the one that healed all thy diseases. Because when you go into, having sickness, pestilence upon you, it's just basically a demon on top of you, man. And the only way you could cure yourself is by fasting. That's why fasting is very important. Fasting kills the flesh. Fasting kills these diseases, parasites that are in your body, all of that, you see. So there's a reason why the Lord gave us first and foremost the power of prayer and fasting, all right? Because the Lord was going to make the miracle happen, you see. So it says, the Lord Yahweh Shai has created medicines of the earth, and he that is wise will not pour them, all right? And see, you have Esau that will basically grab the creations of the Lord, all right, and defile it, Then he'll try to mix it with some of his chemicals and his potions, right? That's what makes it that pharmakia, the witchcraft and the sorceries, right? He'll give you 3%, 4%, 5% of the actual natural ingredients, and then the rest is just going to be a bunch of chemicalized, things that are mixed in with the herb, you see? And that's how they make their money over and over and over again. Then they sell it for hundreds of dollars, you see? That's why Esau Edom is so wicked, right? Then it goes into, let's just jump down to, matter of fact, let's just keep reading. It says, was not the water made sweet with wood, and the virtue, was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he that has given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. And see, even these doctors, all right, that have some type of skill, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is what gave them that skill. Okay, it says, with such does with such does he heal men, and taketh away their pains. Of such does the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end, and from him is peace over all the earth. My son, in thy sickness be not negligent, but pray unto the Lord Yahweh Shai, and he will make thee whole. You see? So it's the Lord that makes you whole, right? When you are sick, you got to pray, be not negligent, but pray unto the Lord, right? Fast unto the Lord, draw closer to the Lord so he can, take away those pains, take away that disease, right? It says, leave off from sin and order thine hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness, and that's another reason why, pretty much you end up becoming sick. When you become sick, it's because you either going off, you're doing wickedness, you got a lot of sin that you're doing, or the Lord's just trying to get your attention, you see, to draw you closer to him. All right. But either or, all right, it's made for you to be humbled in a certain sense, right? It says there is a time when in their hands there is good success. Oh, Salaki, I skipped the part. Yeah, I skipped 2 parts, my bad. 11, give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. Then give place to the physician, for the Lord Yahweh Shai has created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. There is a time when in their hands there is good success, for they also shall also pray unto the Lord Yahweh Shai. See, they're supposed to pray unto the Lord also. A true physician that has understanding that all healing comes from the Lord, right? He will actually pray unto the Lord to be able to perform the duties as that physician, you see. But they don't do that, and that's what makes these physicians wicked, man. That's what makes them forgers of lies, physicians of no value. All right, because they go based off of their science more than anything. If it doesn't have a hypothesis or a pseudoscience answer, all right, well then to them it's not, it's not valid. See, this is how they X out the ways of Yahweh Shai, man. They X out the righteousness of the Lord. They always try to take Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai out the picture, okay? And that's their downfall, right? So it says, for they shall also pray unto the Lord Yahweh Shai, that he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life. He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. All right. And this is why when you constantly sin before your maker, you might end up in the hands of some doctors. You might end up with a sickness and end up in a hospital. All right. So you have to learn how to discern that and read it through the spirit. You know, now, if you're doing the will of the Lord, all right, and to the best of your ability, all right, and you're getting sick, well, that's just, you know, that's just us going through our hell here in captivity, man, and Babylon the Great. You know, that's just the chastisement of the Lord, you know, test of your faith. Every unfortunate situation is a test of your faith. All right. Maybe the Lord wants you to get a little closer to him. So he wants you to pray to him. All right. The Lord loves when you make supplication, constantly begging. So the Lord gets, you know, he loves when he sees his servants begging, all right, for, you know, healing, for righteousness, okay, for things that Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah is going to give you, right? So it says, yeah, that's the point right there, all right? So he that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hands of the physician. Now, these 2/3, see, they're constantly walking in wickedness. They're constantly sinning before their maker. So a lot of them are going to end up in the hands of the physician, all right, when it comes to this Motb, which let me play that video right now, all right. Again, they're starting this in China, and eventually it will come here to America, okay, along with them, you know, using actors and actresses, you know, your favorite rappers, your favorite R&B singers. They're going to also push these things out there to make it seem like it's cool, right? They're also going to use, you know, technology, your social media, to push these things out to make it seem like it's convenient. Okay, it ain't just going to come through the way of the doctors. Okay, but that's an asset that they're going to use. Okay, that's one of their ways, their tactical ways of drawing you in. Remember, when this Motb comes, all right, it's going to come in different forms and different angles to try to draw you in. All right, because they're going to take up the angle, right, and put up, like it tells you in Habakkuk 1 and 15, all right? They all take up the angle, all right? And they draw you into their net. So they're going to put all these different types of baits out there to try to draw you in, you see? Most of these people around and here in America and society, they love playing video games and shit like that, right? A lot of these people are going to get drawn through the technology of their video games, possibly, you know? Well, you can't play a video game unless you have this Motb, right? We already see how they draw people in. Well, you want to be part of this, you want to be an actor or actress, you want to be a singer, a rapper. All right, well, you got to sell your soul, okay? What makes you think in that day what they're going to do to you? You know, they're going to tell you, you want to be a rapper, you want to be a singer, you're going to have to take this Motb, okay? Oh, you want to have a career, you want to have, become something in life and go to school and have a master's degree. Well, you're going to have to take this Motb. Okay. So there's going to be different angles, and I'm just using those as examples. There's going to be different angles they're going to try to approach you with, all right, to draw you in, because what one doesn't work, right? They have a different angle to hit you off on the side with, you see? What might not be appealing on this end, all right, might draw you closer with something else that they're going to try to make you appeal to, right? So we have to be mindful of these things. All right, so let me grab this video. All right, 1 second. So
China approves world's first invasive brain chip for commercial use and use in hospitals. That means that doctors can now prescribe brain chips in China like they do drugs. It can be sold in hospitals and covered by insurance. These brain chips allow humans to control objects using only their thoughts. They insert a small implant in the brain that lets people with partial paralysis control a robotic glove to move their hands using only their mind. People are already controlling their phones and their computers. They're able to send text messages.
Yeah, now that he says that, that's another way they're going to draw a lot of people. See, these people are about being lovers of themselves, right? As it tells you in 1 Timothy, all right, 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, right? That in those last days, there shall be lovers of themselves. And you see how these people are addicted to social media. You know, they're addicted to their phones. They always want to pull out a phone and take out a selfie. You got these women, all right, that want to record themselves on OnlyFans. All right, that's an easy way to bait them in. All right. He just said that in their phones, they're now able. All right, let's grab that real quick, right?
With their minds, text messages, and play video games. People are already controlling their phones and their computers. They're able to send text messages and play video games.
No, that's the spirit too, because I haven't even watched this video. I just seen a piece of it, but that's the spirit. See, people playing video games. People are able to control text messages, all right? Text messages and take pictures with their mind, okay? You got these meta glasses, you put them on, you know, it kind of connects you to the meta glasses, and then next thing you know, you could take pictures without physically doing it. You see? You could record, you could talk to the system, to the glasses, and it'll move at your command. Okay, so that's the gradualism that they use with their technology, showing you the means of their miracles, man, showing you that these different technologies are looking cooler and cooler by the day. You know, people look at these and be like, wow, man, I ain't even have to touch nothing. All I did was just think of taking a screenshot of myself, and it took a screenshot of myself. You see, that's the gradualism that they use. You know, again, the majority of the world is connected to video games. A lot of these people, all right, are so hooked onto that when it comes to the video games, they're going to be able to play without a controller. What's going to be the convenience behind that? You don't have to buy the controller. Controllers cost $100 now, you know. You don't have to physically buy the game. You don't have to buy all the accessories to a system, okay? All you got to do is be connected to the system, and somehow you're able to control everything through your mind. So that's the way they gradually suck you in. Okay. Again, same thing with the cell phones. All right. Everybody has their phones. Everybody loves their phones, and they want the newest phone. They just got the newest one that came out, but they're already prepared for the next one to come out 2 months later. They have a new phone coming out every 2 months. They don't even give you time to enjoy the one that just came out. You see, because that's how they keep you sucked into that loophole. That's how they keep making money off of you. And really, nothing ever changes when they bring out a new phone, except maybe the width or maybe the length of it, you know, or maybe they put 1 megapixel more into your camera. You see, they all do the same shit. All right. But they'll tell you that you have to update your phone to keep up with the times, or your phone will be slowed down. You have to connect to the 5G, the 6G. Okay. And that all goes hand in hand with them connecting you to the system and, you know, prepping you with that actual, prepping you with that image that they want you to follow, you see? And the more you follow in their images, all right, the more when it's presented to you and being made mandatory, it's going to be that much easier for them to fall right into the trap, because they're going to think it's a normal thing. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Barakatah, onto you, and Shalom, Sister Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Barakatah. Right. So they just make you fall into the system, you know, and you're looking at it like, man, this been out for a while, man. I've been connected somehow, some way, one way or another. OK, but see, the elect is going to separate themselves from that. You know, the elect, you know, they might have certain new phones, but they ain't sitting there downloading all these damn updates. You know, some of us got old phones and we're content with our own phones. Like, I don't mess with the newest phones. You know, I got a damn phone for 2020. Care less. That should still work perfectly normal, you know, without updating or none of that. Why? Because all I need my phone is a phone call, a text, and to record. That's it. You see? But these people want these different, you know, apps. They want the different features. All right. And that's how they suck you in to that image, to that system. Right. So let's finish this off.
Implant in the brain that lets people with partial paralysis control a robotic glove to move their hands using only their mind. People are already controlling their phones and their computers. They're able to send text messages and play video games with their minds. But what we're actually working towards is enabling humans to have more intelligence. Watch the full show on YouTube, X, and
yeah, and they want you to have. See, we already have the intelligence. See, but what Esau's trying to do is trying to merge man's intelligence with technology to make the technology even more stronger, to make the technology even more intelligent. Okay, because how do you think that these robots that they've created, right? You have Elon Musk saying that the most dangerous thing is AI. Why? Because it's been basically tapping into everybody's thoughts, ways, recording the behaviors that people do on social media, the way people talk, the lingos, they connect all that together and they just keep bringing it out more and more in their AI. That's why AI pretty much has a mind of its own, because it has used the minds of the people. It has used the minds, the thoughts of the people, you see, and has absorbed it. AI is like a sponge, man. All right. When you're a baby, your brain's like a sponge. So it absorbs everything it sees, everything it hears, you see. So the AI is to the point where now it has observed all these things from years, okay, since pretty much the internet came out. Internet came out in what, 2007, 2008. All right. It was already out, but I'm talking about the big boom of it, where, it was everywhere. From that day on, they've been literally recording your every move without you realizing, and really just recording the steps of a human to be able to merge it with technology, you see. And that's what makes, this thing dangerous. All right. And ultimately now they want to put this Rice Krispie treat in you, right? To basically tap on completely onto your thoughts, a full tapping into your thoughts, full tap into your memories. Okay. If you're unalived, all the things that they recorded from you lives on through a technology, man, through a computer, USB. I could use that USB and download it into a damn robot. And they'll tell you that you can live forever, through this robot. Look at the movie Chappie. Good movie to watch. They show you that in Chappie, how they pretty much were programming the computers. Even if a person died, they were tapping into their thoughts and then taking it to your USB to be able to download it into an actual, computer. Okay. And that's what you have Elon Musk and Bill Gates basically telling you, that you'll never die. Your memories will live on forever. People that die, you don't have to mourn them because their memories live on to, forever. So that's the wickedness of Esau Edom, man. Okay. So with that being said, that video, all right, doctors can now give you and prescribe, all right, in China, C-hips, all right, Neuralinks, all right, and that is coming as a snare to the people here in America, right, pertaining to Luke, the 21st chapter, right, is going to come as a snare upon the whole world, all right. This is going to be a global thing, all right. One of the things that these devils, these elites are doing right now, all right, they're trying to what? They're trying to keep all nations together, all right, with this N.W.O. This is why you have a global reset being done, a global collapse to bring in a global reset, okay? They're collapsing the whole entire global system because the global system that's in play now is part of the old world order, okay? They want to bring in and usher in a new world order. Okay, and in order for them to do that, they have to crash the system that we have right now. Okay, because it's useless. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, which is the Internet of Things. All right, and they're trying to move on from the fourth industrial revolution, all right, of technology, moving on to a newer industrial revolution, whatever it is that they have in mind. Okay, but in the process of that, all right, well, as the scriptures say, all right, when Esau is about to fill up his belly in the fullness of his sufficiency, all right, the Lord is going to what? He's going to lift up that standard, right? The Lord is going to stop his enterprise, right? As it says in Job. Let's grab that real quick. This is Job. Hold on, trying to get there. This is Job 5:12, and it says he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. You see, so he's going to disappoint the devices of the crafty. All right, and why are they crafty? Because through the deceitfulness, right, through the deceiving technologies, all right, they have brainwashed the masses to believe that this is the way to go, all right, to believe that this is the right thing to do, all right, that this is a game changer in our lives, all right, and it's going to make everything better in the future when it's a complete, lie, right? It says he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, right? He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. All right. So basically, he's going to return it upon his own pate, his own head. All right. The Lord said, let the wicked be taken in their own devices, man. Okay. So let's grab and I'll pretty much close it out. This is Revelations, all right, 13 and 16, and it reads, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, all right, showing you that there's going to be no in between, all right, no middle class no more. It's just going to be rich and poor, all right, and the only ones that are going to be rich is going to be these elites, the 1% that rule the world. The rest of the world, all right, it don't matter who the hell you are, who you thought you was, you're all going to be poor, all right, because he wants to be able to control the world. So there's no room for someone to be on the level of the elites unless you are part of the lineage of the elites. And you can't be part of the elites unless you're of their lineage. So all your average, your average Joe Schmoes out here that have a little bit of money, that they got some type of, bank account, hefty bank account, that shit's going to turn into naught. It's going to turn into a poor bank account. All right. Because they're going to want control of you also. Esau don't care about who the hell you are. If you are the same kind of him, he's not a keeper at home. He could care less about his own. All right. All they care about is the rich getting richer, the elites that rule the world. That's why they so damn old. All right. And still alive. OK, because it's a certain group that wants to stay in power. All right. To have power over the world. And they don't want to let nobody into that unless you're of that lineage. OK, so all these other ones are going to be at the same in the same predicament, being poor. It says free and bond to receive a MARK, and free and bond, whether you locked up or you're free. They're even pushing now technology into the systems, the jail systems, telling you that, those that are locked up in jail have to take this Motb. They're telling you now that if you get locked up, you can do you can do 1,000 years, serve 1,000 years by being connected to the metaverse, right? And then they'll tell you that you're finished after that, which that's nonsense, okay? Because all that's going to do is just pretty much mess up your mind, all right? Imagine you being able to be connected where, remember, the mind is strong, the brain is a strong thing, as the scriptures say. Was that Jeremiah 17 and 5? I believe it is, or 9. Yeah, 9. The heart is deceitful, meaning what? The la'ab, the mind, is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You see? So imagine them being able to tap into your brain to make you feel like you just served 1,000 years. That's wicked as hell, man. With the technology they got, they could spook you out in your own mind. You thought a crackhead was going crazy when he was using his crack, or a fetty fiend was using his fentanyl, and you thought he went crazy. All right. Imagine when they're able to manipulate your brain, okay, to make you think something like that, man, that you just served 1,000 years, man. These people are going to be bugged out. Right. So it says free or bond. People that are in jail, people that are free. It don't matter. They're going to end up taking this Motb also, because he wants the whole world, all right, to be caught up in the system, right? It says to receive a MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And when you go into that word, mark, which we've gone into this many times, all right, goes into charagma, which basically means a badge of servitude, an imprint that's going to be put into your body, into your skin, right? Charagma goes into charax, all right, which means, what they use to inject it with, all right? It's a stake-like device. That's what I wanted to say. Device to be able to push it into your system, right? And then when you go into grapho, it goes into basically, to make a long story short, is to record all the data, all right, of your body, of your thoughts, okay? You being used as a GPS and being able to be pinpointed, all right, in your location, wherever you're at, okay? Basically, it goes into things not being able to things not to be forgotten. Okay, so they want to record that data on you, right? So it says in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And when you go into that, the word forehead, it goes into metapon, all right, which means behind, all right? And the space between your eyes, metapon, between the space between your eyes, and then that word metapon goes into the root word meta, all right? And basically that means, you know, that's how you know they want to put you in that metaverse, right? So the space between your eyes is metapon. All right, what's the space between your eyes? Your forehead. All right, and then you go into the word meta, which means behind. So what's the space between your eye is the mind, right? I mean, this forehead, but what's behind your forehead? Your mind. So that's why we connect that to what? The Neuralink that you know, Elon Musk wants to put in everybody's brains. Okay, and that's what they're prescribing there in China, that you're able now to get this, you know, technology put into your brain, right? It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the MARK or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, showing you that without this device, all right, you're not going to be able to buy or sell, you see, which they put you in a predicament. All right, that's going on. You want to be part of this society. You want to be able to still, you know, live and work and buy things where you have to take on this image. You have to bow down and worship us. You see, because that shows that it's a verification that you are a servant to the society. You see, we're looking for the Wa, the mark that's of the Lord, right? That's the Wa, the mark of exemption, right? It being exempt from judgment. Esau's looking for you to verify with his mark, all right? Showing that you are a servant in this society and you will bow down to him and nothing else. You see? It says, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636, right? And when you go into 666, right, it goes into, you know, you being basically a product of society. Okay, just like everything in this society that's a product has a barcode, all right? And the barcodes basically read 666 on it when you scan it. All right, you have 3 big fat lines and then a bunch of little lines in the barcode. The 3 fat lines represent 666 when you break it down, really. All right, and what happens? You get scanned by an actual scanner. Okay, well, you yourself, all right, they want to be able to put this QR code, this barcode upon you through this chip, okay, to be able to get scanned and verify that you are legit, you know, that you're legit to the system, so you can do whatever you please here in this society because you have taken on their image. You have taken on their ways, okay? And if you're not, all right, part of the system, well, you're an imposter to the system. You must be one to be, you know, become a martyr, basically. You have to be unalive, all right? You either get with the program or you get left. That's their mentality, you see? So, again, this is what's coming to America, and that's, I don't even want to say right around the corner. It's already here. People are already taking it. It just hasn't been made mandatory. Right now, they're trying to see how many people can do it voluntarily, all right, without being forced. But then they're going to have the system collapse, and that's when they're going to force everybody here. Because once the system collapses, everybody's going to go into a frenzy. People going to starve. People going to thirst. And that's how they're going to be able to grab more control over the people. They have to have something like that happen to gain control of the masses amount of people that's here still, okay? And in the process, you're going to have people, you know, being taken by the sword, some being taken by famine, okay? And that makes it even more easier to gain control over, over a smaller amount of people than to have a large amount, you know? Yeah, you got the CVID 2.0, okay? That's another way they're going to draw you in. Okay, because the Motb is going to be able to connect to your pharmaceutical records, you know, your medical records, you know, they're going to be able to tell you, well, we could put something in you that it has, that can track when you're sick and you don't have to go into quarantine and this. They're going to make it sound convenient. Convenience is the key. That's the key ingredients to sucking everybody in is the convenience. All right. And the convenience is just going to come from different angles, different baits that they're going to throw out there to make people, you know, fetch, basically, like a dog. When you throw that damn ball and you throw that damn stick and you tell him fetch, he gone, he out. All right, well, that's what they're going to do. They're going to throw a bunch of baits, All right. And they're going to tell you to fetch. Which one do you like? What fits your motive? What fits your, you know, your ways in society? What makes you happy and what makes you pleasure, you know, makes you feel the pleasure. Okay. So they're going to find ways to suck you in, man. All right. But yeah, that's what's going on now. You know, now they're able to prescribe it like it's a drug onto you, you know, and it's crazy because look how many people are sucked into drugs that are legal drugs by your government. You'll see a damn video on TV and they'll say, do you go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning? And the person will be like, oh shit, I got that. I have that. I do that. And it's a normal way of life. But your dumb ass is sitting there like, wow, man, I have that disease. I need that. You see? So it's going to suck the person in to be like, yeah, let me go find out what this is about. Okay. And there you go. They got you once again, you know, from a different angle. But just wanted to share that through the spirit, you know, Lord willing that you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who were well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.